gentlemen, please welcome your Telecom Council Chairman, Derek Kerton.
Energy, thank you. Thank you everybody and welcome to TC3, Telecom Council Carrier Connections. This meeting is really special for us. It's once a year. A lot of you know that Telecom Council has almost 3 meetings a month where we typically have startup companies introduced to larger players in the industry with the hopes of making partnerships and deals and progressing their business forward. Both companies, of course, stand to gain. The large companies benefit from the innovation, and the startups, that's their path to market, and one of their choices for a path to market. We do this through the year, and what we had, we've been around for 8 years. So originally what people started saying to us was, startups said, this is great. We really appreciate the opportunity to pitch to this one room with 20 telcos, and it's pretty valuable, or a bunch of VCs, or various groups like Intel Capital, Qualcomm Ventures. That's highly valuable, but what about them pitching to us? What's the differentiator of an AT&T versus an NTT Docomo, for example? I have a particular technology. Which carrier is the best carrier for me? Who's easy to work with? Who has different paths to, channels for partnership that suit the way we want to do business and such? So they were asking us these questions that we conceived of this particular conference. The idea of TC3 is it turns the usual dog and pony show of Silicon Valley, on its head and inverts it. And we ask the big companies to pitch the startup community as a whole. So this is the conference where large players and telcos are pitching Silicon Valley, saying, this is why our carrier is good to work with. These are our innovation programs. And then every carrier that will speak to you over the next 2 days, and it's largely tomorrow where the carriers speak, every carrier that speaks will have 2 specific slides, templated, that you can compare one to the other. One of them is going to be their call for innovations. On that slide, they'll have a simple bullet list of topics. So something like software-defined networking, e-health initiatives, customer service enhancements, whatever they have identified within their company as their gaps, as their priorities for the next 12 months. And they will also have a second slide templated that says, this is how you get a hold of us. If you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a vendor, this is the best way to engage the front door for our company. And then that'll range from here's my email address to here's a web portal to here's a phone number to here's my incubator's address. But every carrier will have those 2 slides. What Silicon Valley as a whole is going to find from those slides is once they're aggregated, individual startups will be able to say, I was going to talk to Verizon because they're the biggest, but I've seen from this that Smart in the Philippines has a specific need for the solution I provide. So maybe instead of spending my biz dev time first on Verizon, I'll still do that, but I'm going to turn and look at Smart pretty carefully over the next little while. So it helps the community say, that's a carrier who aligns with what I have to offer. That's one specific value we hope to be able to generate. The second one is, when you look at those in aggregate, you might see something like, and this year I think it's probably a no-brainer prediction, software-defined networking, for example, will probably be on every carrier's slide deck. And what that's going to tell us as a community is, if you're a venture capitalist or you're a company in the space, you might want to go that second round of funding because you go, listen, this is a massive wave. It's not just the startup company, VC would say this, it's not just a startup telling me that there's a real market. I've heard the carriers say it themselves. Every carrier that went up there said they want to have solutions in this space. That's not a bad place to invest. So there's 2 very cool things we're going to get out of it, is the specific differences between the carriers and the similarities. And there will be more similarities and differences admittedly, but both are highly valuable. So that is what TC3 brought to Silicon Valley when we launched it 6 years ago, as a smaller meeting than this. The second thing that happened as we were running this particular meeting was that the startup said, that was really good, we like the information, but so long as you're putting all the carriers in one room and we're gathering 500 people or so together, could we also do a pitch session there? So that made a lot of sense, and since there's a certain gravity once everybody comes in to gather together like this. So we doubled it to a 2-day event. Day 1 now is basically entrepreneurs, startups, vendors pitching to larger companies, and day 2 is our big companies pitching Silicon Valley. So that's what you should be expecting over the next little while. The layout here is a little bit like a labyrinth. I'll try really quickly to help you get your grounding for it. This is the main stage of the Hot Auditorium. We'll have program here throughout today. We also have a spotlight stage across the way near the demo pavilion. There's 2 specific subjects being talked about at any given time. That one has breaks in between each session. For example, right now we're going to kick off with an investment session here. Meanwhile, on the other stage, they'll be talking about Internet of Things. So you can kind of take a look at the agenda and see which way you want to go. One other thing we heard was startups saying to us, well, okay, that's all good, but do the carriers actually make any deals? I've tried to make 3 deals, I haven't gotten through with anyone. So the result of that was, yes, they make deals. Unfortunately, they're like a funnel, like a VC. They look at hundreds of potential partners every year and whittle it down to make a handful of deals. So it's not easy. Nobody said it's going to be easy, unfortunately. But we pulled out some case studies this year, as we did last year. So on the stage, mostly tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of case studies of carriers and startups. And they're going to talk about how they work together. And we're going to ask the startups questions like, okay, how did you engage? How did it start? And hopefully that's, first of all, proves the point that these deals do get made. And secondly, we're going to hear the stories of how they get made and how the implementation of those solutions works. So I've got laundry list of things for you. Wi-Fi, there's Wi-Fi throughout. It's printed on a variety of things. I'll say it really quickly. It's a TC3 2014 SSID. The password is connections. We're running this venue. We have an application to get a lot more value out of the event. I know every event now has an app. I personally don't like downloading them every time. So what we've done is we made ours a web app. You don't have to download something to your phone. You would log into our web app. Login information is an insert with your badge. And the URL for the app is www.tc3app.telecomcouncil.com. In that app, you'll find a variety of things like all the attendee lists, the ability to message among the attendees, to look at a map of the layout, look at the schedule, etc. So once again, we try to make it lightweight. Nothing you have to download and erase later on. No permissions or anything like that. It's just in the web. Within that also, you can vote. So the demo pavilion over there has a number of companies that are showing their stuff. And if you see something you really like, you can look them up in the demo pavilion, click on the company, and give them a vote. Later on, we'll aggregate the votes and see which ones are the companies that generated the most interest. We're doing food and coffee throughout the day, so you'll be free to get more chow and coffee and drinks anytime. They're largely in the demo pavilion, but you probably saw that there's a coffee bar out there, sponsored by Jersey Telecom. We're asking that everybody stick around tonight. We're doing our Spiffy Awards. So as I said, through the year, lots of startups pitching the carriers. The carriers mark feedback down on all of those startup pitches through the entire year. We see over a couple of hundred of companies. From those companies, based on the feedback we immediately get from the carrier, we nominate a group of companies, we put it back to the investment community and ask them to vote on the winners for the year. And those winners are our Spiffy winners, and we're presenting those awards this evening at the end of the day. Quick note for anyone who paid for membership, if you're considering membership in the Telecom Council, your attendance fees can be put towards your membership for attendance fees for this event. So if something you want, you can apply that as a discount. I think that's all I had to run through with you in terms of the mechanics. Listen, those of you who know us and those of you who are just new, let me tell you, the Telecom Council is not about lectures. It's not about people coming up on the stage and teaching you something that you don't already know. Hopefully they do, but that's not our main goal. Our main goal is to get the right people in the room, to get the right business deal makers at the event and help them engage. So the goal of the short presentations is, well, here's an idea. If you want to follow up with this company, please do. And we have ample tools and abilities and techniques to help you actually meet and make a handshake as opposed to just listen to a presentation. So with that, if you see me or any of my staff, anybody wearing a teal scarf is Telecom Council staff, feel free to ask them to help you find somebody, another person you were looking for that you want to engage with the meeting. We will do our best to help you meet the people you need to meet, to help you move your business forward. Our goal and mission has always been to take big companies and help them make the right partnerships quickly and sooner, and then to take the small companies and the vendors and help them make the right deals and partnerships months before they otherwise would. So if we can accelerate people's business, we've met our goals. So that's us, and if we can help you do that over the next 2 days, don't be shy about asking us. Of course, we don't know everybody's face, but we can do our best to tell you if the person is here, what room to find them in, and things like that. So it's time to kick it off and get started. I'm going to welcome up to host the first session in Investment Pitch. I'm going to welcome up Liz Kerton, President of the Telecom